Hello everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. In this video we are going to look at named ranges. So you'll see that I have a sales table here. I've got salespeople in column B, I have sales figures that run from January all the way to June, and then I have an empty total column. So I would like to add up these sales figures and I want the answers in the total column. But instead of doing the everyday traditional Excel method using cell references, I'm going to use names instead. So let me show you how to create a name. I'm going to highlight from cell C4 all the way to cell H4. And the name box is over here, and as you can see, it's displaying cell C4 in there at the moment. That's basically the first cell reference of the highlighted range of cells. So to create a name, I'm going to click in the name box, I'm going to hit backspace, and I'm going to type out the name that I want to use. I'm going to type out Mark because I'm referring to the salesperson named Mark. So I'm going to type out Mark, and I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to deselect the cells, and if I highlight them again, and if you look at the name box, it will now display Mark instead of cell C4. Something to take note of when creating names is that if you have, for example, a double barrel name that you want to create, the program doesn't allow spaces between the first and the second part of the name. So if you want to put a double barrel name in there or a triple barrel name in there, you got to put underscores in the name instead of spaces. I only have Mark here on its own, so that's fine. So I've created the name. Let me use it in a formula. I'm going to click on cell I4 and I'm going to type out equal SUM. And in the drop down menu, I'm going to double click on the sum option right at the top. As soon as I do that, you'll see that it puts sum in capital letters for me with an open bracket. So now it's waiting for me to give it either the cell references or the name. So the first letter of Mark is M. So I'm going to go ahead and press the letter M. And you'll see it will give you a drop-down list with all of your functions that start with the letter M. But if you do have a named range in there that starts with M as well, it will display that also. And it does show me Mark right there. So I'm going to double-click on Mark. It'll drop it in the formula. I'm going to press enter, and there I have my answer. So I'm going to click on the answer and just have a look at the formula bar, and you can see what a formula looks like with a name in it. So I'm going to create more names, but I'm going to do something else now. I'm going to make the program create a whole bunch of names for me in one go. So I'm going to highlight everything from cell B5 all the way to cell H8. I'm going to go to my Formulas tab, have a look in my Defined Names ribbon group. You'll see that there's a button that says Create from Selection. So it basically means create names from a highlighted selection of cells. So when you click on it, you'll see this window will pop up. I've got a couple of checkboxes in there. It says top row, left column, bottom row, and right column. So left column is checked at the moment. So what the program is basically doing, it's looking at your highlighted range of cells and it's looking for text. And it's picking up that you've got text in the left-hand column there. So it's basically confirming with you if you want to use what is in the left-hand column as names, which is exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to click OK, and I have created 4 more names now, and this is basically how they work. I'm going to highlight from cell C5 to H5 and have a look at the name box. You'll see it is Steve because I took it from the left-hand side, and Steve is right there. If I go one row down, you'll see the name box. That one is Susan. Again, I took it from the left-hand side. I go one down, you'll see it's Kate. One down is John. Let me show you another example. I'm going to go to the inventory sheet at the bottom, and then I'm going to highlight this range of cells over here from cell B3 all the way to cell F8. So in this particular situation, I have column headings and I have row headings. So I basically have text in my row and in my column. Now I'm going to make the program create names for me again. So let's see what's going to happen if I have 2 sets of names that I could possibly use. So again, in the Formulas tab, same place, Define Names ribbon group. I'm going to click on Create from Selection again. Now because I have 2 sets there in the row and the column, it picks up the row and the left column. In this particular case, top row and left column. So if I click OK, I have created 9 names at the same time now. So I'm going to highlight from cell C4 to C8, which is basically my column for quarter one, and you'll see that it named that column quarter one because it took the name from the top row. And if I look at the other columns, you'll see the names will correspond as well. So quarter three, quarter four, and I also created names in my rows as well. So if I highlight from cell C4 to F4, you'll see it named that one maple because it took it from the left-hand column. And again, if I go through the rest of my rows, you can see the names on the left-hand side will correspond with the names in the name box. So let's look at how to edit and delete existing named ranges. So I'm going to go back to the cell sheet and I'm going to click on cell I4, and if you have a look at the formula bar, you'll see that I used the named range mark in my formula there. So I'm going to edit the name and I'm going to see what happens to the formula, and then I'm also going to delete the name, and then I also want to have a look at the formula afterwards. So if you want to edit or delete the name or any of the existing names, it's not done in the name box. It is done in the name manager over here, which is also in the define names group. So I'm going to click on name manager, and I can see all of my names are listed over there. And I'm specifically looking for Mark. So there's Mark. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to rename Mark. You can see Mark is there in the name box. I'm just going to hit backspace, and I'm just going to change it to something random. I'm just going to type out James. And I don't only want to rename the named range, I also want to adjust the actual range itself. So you can see here there's a refers to box. So you can see that it refers to cell C4 all the way to cell H4, which is basically from January to June. So I'm going to go and adjust that. If you click on this button with an arrow in it, it will collapse the window temporarily, and it will give you your marching ants around the named range. So I'm going to highlight from January to March only because I want to make my range smaller. I'm going to click on that button with the arrow in it, and I'm going to click OK. Now you'll see the name manager will remain open. You can just go ahead and close that one as well. And you'll see that the answer changed here in the total cell because I'm summing up a smaller range now. And you'll see that the formula updated as well, saying James. It doesn't say Mark anymore. So let's have a look at how to delete a name and what happens to the formula when you delete a name. So again, I'm going to go back to the name manager, and I'm going to look for James now because I obviously renamed Mark to James. So with James selected, I'm going to click delete. It'll do like a confirmation step. Are you sure you want to delete the name James? I'm going to click OK. You'll see that the name manager will not have James in there anymore. I'm going to close the name manager, and you'll see that the formula will not work anymore because it is currently looking for James, which I just deleted. So it doesn't actually know what to do anymore. So it doesn't work anymore. So something else that's also very important when working with names is how to find the names. What if someone emailed you this spreadsheet and they phone you 5 minutes later and they say there's a name in there called Maple? So you are in this exact location in the spreadsheet. How do you find the name Maple? Now you'll see in the name box there's a drop down arrow on the side there, and if you click on the drop down arrow, it will in fact list all of the existing names within this workbook. So there's Maple there. Now if I click on it, it will automatically just jump to the name Maple, and you'll notice that we jumped over to a completely different sheet and it automatically just highlighted the name for you. So they are very easy to find as well. And that concludes the video for named ranges.